I'm Jen. I'm the maker behind Space for Sunflowers, and welcome back to my crafty business chaotic channel. The hair is extra chaotic today, and we are going to talk about another market recap. I was at a market on Saturday this weekend. It was a new market for me, so let's talk about it. Good morning! It's market day. I meant to make a video yesterday to sort of set the stage and show the things that I've been working on this week in case they sell. That didn't happen. That's okay though. So we're in the car, we're ready to go. I have all of my last minute. Hold up. I am looking for something. Hold up. I had printed out, oh, they're right here, these last minute generic tags for my last minute makes that I haven't printed the tags for. These are probably just a good idea for me to have on hand anyway, so that way I'm not using the super generic, doesn't have my logo, doesn't say crocheted by hand tags, and have no room for like a description. You really just put the price tag on it. So these are going to be great because I don't think I have tags printed for my Koroks, which I restocked this week. But before I get distracted, I should go because I have to drive to get to this market and set up, and I'm running about 10 minutes late. So all good. I will probably check in when I'm at the market. There's no Wi-Fi there, so this should be interesting, and I can't find my travel charger. So deep breaths, it's gonna be a good day. There's a very good possibility my travel charger is hiding in my go bag, so I might find it when I get there, and there should be some charge left in it. Should be enough. My phone's fully charged. My Square is fully charged, which I almost forgot. I almost left it charging. I did that last weekend with my watch. Anyway, I'm gonna go. So I'll check in with you later. So this market was in Pittsboro, North Carolina, which is about 40 minutes away from where I live. It's in a separate county, so I actually had to travel outside my usual range to go to this one. And it was unique in that it has a deposit that if you show up, you get the deposit back, which is interesting. I had never experienced that before. So I was looking forward to going into this market, especially after the past couple weekends where things have been a little bit slow, a lot bit slow at the markets that I've been at. I've had conflicts like the NC State Fair and other markets by the same organizer competing with the one that I'm attending. So it was a good mental reset to think about this market as a success, regardless of how sales went that day, because it was exposure, it was getting outside of my usual scope of location, I guess, and it's no matter what, any sales that came in would be immediately like income earned, not income earned, because you still have to count out the cost of materials and labor and all of that, but you know what I mean, like none of it was going toward a market fee, which was a nice change of pace, and it was a little bit refreshing after getting kind of in the weeds mentally about some of the other markets that I've done recently. So that was good. It was in a beautiful space. The area that it was at it was a shopping center, apartment complex, So there were restaurants, there were shops, there were residents, there was a lot going on. There was also construction. So it's a part that's up and coming and it's still being built. But it did have this nice like green space with an amphitheater where the band that was playing during the event was set up. And that's where I was. So when we arrived, we weren't given our spaces ahead of time. It was based on when you arrived and what the traffic flow looked like. So they had 2 lanes in this around this green space where they closed it off to external traffic and the vendors could come in. You could park right in front of your spot, unload, and then go park your car and then finish setting up. I had also gotten from them in their communication prior to the event a reminder that if you have carts, it's a good idea to bring your cart. So their email communication was really great. It listed out explicitly all the things you should have. You should expect, to be set up by this time. You should have enough of this. You should have your tables, your tent, enough staff to handle the business that you're expecting to receive that day. So it was a really good and well thought out email communication. When we got there, you checked in with the tent and they directed you to which of the 2 alleyways had space for you and also like where your car could fit so that everybody was flowing in one direction and you could unload and you could move your car and then you could come back and set up. I did bring a cart thanks to their email reminder, which I did use. I did end up using the cart. So both in bringing things from the car to me, because when I unloaded everything except it's usually behind me, but my car is still packed because I have another market this weekend. So my car is just packed at this point. So I have a crafting cart. It folds flat. It folds flat in a way that you can keep it fully stocked and move it fully stocked, which I love. And then you can just set it up and it rolls. So I take that out of the car last because that's where my cash box is. And what was the other thing that I took last? My chair. Oh, and my go bag, which is a beach bag that I have filled with yarn and tools and labels and price tags, and it's my go bag at this point. I think I've intended it to originally be like an actual beach bag, but the yarn has taken it over, so it works great as a go bag. I love it. It's a great go bag. Anyway, tangent already. So I brought those things up last. I realized when I got up to the booth to set up, I forgot my sandbags. So I had to go back to the car, cart that back up. I just put the cash box at that point in my cart so I wouldn't have to bring like both the standing craft cart and the it's just an all-terrain wagon. So I brought the wagon, grabbed my sandbags, got finished set up. I actually did a great job setting up, and I think that's a testament to how many markets I have lined up back to back this season. In that it used to take me a full 2 hours to get set up. I was set up in an hour, other than pricing and adding labels to the last minute makes that I had made. But my booth was set up in an hour, which felt really good to have that done, because that really makes a difference when in feeling prepared for customers and shoppers to come through when you're not scrambling at the last minute. So I know a couple weekends ago I was scrambling at the last minute, didn't feel ready at all. It took until I think 15 minutes after the market officially started before I finally was okay, I'm ready. So this was great. I was ready 15 minutes before, and then I was puttering around zhuzhing here and there, adding price tags, adding my branded labels to the back of some of the makes that I had made that week. So, but that's all good. So the booth was set up. I was able to greet shoppers that came through, talk to them a bit as I was doing my zhuzhing and stuff. And it was very relaxed. So that felt really good. The event itself felt like it went really well. Lots of people came in through the booth. I talked to a lot of people. I got a few inquiries about custom orders, so that was great. I haven't heard from anybody yet about those custom orders, but even just talking to people, handing out my card, sending them to my Instagram, that's all good for building the business. So that was great. Lots of that. My first sales came in before the market officially started, so I think I had 2 sales before noon. The market started at noon and went to 4 o'clock. So that felt really good. Everything felt like it was aligning as a good market. Except when I got back to my car after unloading or packing everything, not unloading, reloading, which that was a whole thing. Oh my God. Do I want to talk about that first? No, let's finish this thought. Till I got back at the car and I looked at my sales report. I was really good. I didn't look at it all throughout the market. I kept myself busy, either, retouching things that had been played with to make sure that the booth looked great, or making things. I made a couple of things at this market, octos actually. I focused on octos because that's a memorized pattern. I wouldn't be referencing my phone all the time, and this time I had my crates stacked up pretty tall so I could put my phone up against the crate, so I wasn't like standing there holding my phone, because I'm really trying to consciously not have the phone in my hand unless I am ringing somebody up, since that's my point of sale system. So that was good. I want to make sure that I'm engaged. If I'm making something, that's great, but I want to be able to look up and talk to people as they come in. So I made octos. I also made a mini frog because I'll share what I made later, but I made a few things while I was at the market. Got all packed up, came back, looked at the sales. I was predicting, based on how busy the booth felt, approximately $400, maybe $450 in sales. When I looked at the actual sales, it was a bit disheartening because it was half that. So I had my total payments collected were $245.13. It felt like more. It felt like so much more because people were coming through the booth. The last hour was quiet, but other than that, there were multiple shoppers in the booth at any given point. And I guess I just hadn't realized in all of the talking to people that I was talking to a lot of people, but I wasn't ringing a lot of people up for sales. So that was a little bit frustrating. Luckily, it wasn't something I realized until after everything was broken down, so it didn't like have a damper on my mood or anything. So that was really good. But I mean, that was a little disheartening to find that it was another like $250 day. The good thing about this one is that the booth fee wasn't the high booth fee that I have been experiencing in Raleigh. So it was a lot easier to take in that, like, okay, $245.13, but apart from the square fees and the taxes that I have to pay, it's all take home. So there is that. That's really good. It didn't feel like it was a bad day. It was a little bit slow. I do know that when the market was over, the organizer was coming around and explaining to everybody that their format is changing for next year. I didn't know what the format was for this year. This is the only time that I had done this market. But apparently it's a monthly market that they do, standing market that they do at this location, and they're moving that next year to quarterly. So I think what they found, based on, they didn't go into as much detail with me, but listening to the vendor next to me talk to them, who was more of a seasoned recurring vendor with this organizer, that sales in general, just they're finding with a monthly market series, are not warranting that frequency. So they're moving to a quarterly, hoping to attract bigger crowds for the 4 times that it happens per year. And also, I know they were talking about not having it be like all throughout the summer, which in North Carolina gets super hot. So that was a little bit different. I did also hear them talk about how last year the Sip and Shop, because this was their Sip and Shop, and it was billed as their annual Sip and Shop. So I was under the impression this was the only time this market occurred throughout the year. To find out it was a monthly thing, and maybe it's just not called the Sip and Shop every time, was a surprise once I got there. That's okay. I mean, I tried this market out because I had seen it coming up on the site that I apply to markets to, Eventney. And I was intrigued by it and had been sort of tracking it for a few months. And then I finally applied and was like, let's see how it goes. So that's the story. And I mean, seriously, if you're going to get your deposit back for showing up, it's a great market to try out and just be like, hey, what do I got to lose? Nothing but time. And I had a great time at the market. The music was great. The live band was called the Mixtapes. They played a wide variety of music. The lead singer was great. They sounded good. They adjusted their sound. So, I mean, when they were playing, obviously it was loud. I was closer to the amphitheater than farther away, but it wasn't so loud where it was oppressive. It had started that way when they were doing their tests and sound checks, and they got feedback saying like it's a little loud, so they turned it down, which was really good and really respectful of the vendors and the fact that people need to interact with each other and it's not just a concert. So that was great. They did a great job. I was dancing and singing and crocheting pretty much the whole day in my booth, to be honest. So I had a good time at this market. It was good to test out. Where things kind of fell apart was with the organization at the end. So I had said that they had blocked off the 2 lanes for external traffic while we were setting up. They did warn us when we arrived that there were bees. There were bees. They weren't too terrible, and I don't think that they deterred too many people. I had one person come into the booth, and as she was looking at my flower turtles, there was a bee that was sort of hovering around, but she was really like, she wasn't like, I mean, there was a spider at one point in my booth, and I ended up dropping my rotating display with hair scrunchies, because that's where the spider was, on the grass behind me, because I was trying to flick it off, and then it moved, and I panicked and I dropped it, and that got rid of the spider. Because these two ladies came in and were like, oh my god, there's the most interesting spider. And I'm thinking they're talking about the spiders, my crochet spiders that were up at the front by my mystery boxes. And she's like, there's the most interesting spider right here on, and I was like, oh my god. And like, she's like, well, we'll get it. I'm like, don't get bit. Please do not get bit by the spider. I'll deal with it. So I tried to deal with it once they left, and it was a disaster. I ended up dropping the display, but the spider fell into the grass, and then I could just sort of pick up the crochet scrunchies and put them back and put everything back together. The grass was dry, so that was good. It had rained in Raleigh the night before, but it was very dry once I got out to Pittsburgh, so that was great. So no harm done, except a little bit of my dignity in shrieking and dropping the display because there was a spider on it. But there was one bee while this other lady was looking at the flower turtles, but she was really good about it. She was just like, oh, no, thank you. Go away. So that was good. I mean, bees weren't too horrible. They had the garbage sort of consolidated to the middle where there weren't vendors, so that was good too. I think that because bees usually gravitate toward the garbage, so that was good. Yeah, so there were some bees. Overall, it was well organized. It fell apart a bit in the breakdown process because they came around and said, if you have a cart, we recommend you use it. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting like hours to get out of here because of all the other vendors. So it was a free-for-all. And they didn't preface any of that with, you should fully tear down before getting your car, if you're going to bring your car up, and then load it up once it's fully torn down. So there was a mix of vendors who fully tore down and then went to get their car, and vendors who got their car and blocked the way for everybody else while they were completely tearing down their booth and putting it in the thing. So I was the last vendor to finish packing up. I did not bother to go get my car. I packed everything. I broke everything down, and then I brought it over to my car in shifts based on priority of like, what am I comfortable leaving unattended for a few minutes while I walk down to my car? So obviously things like my cash box, my inventory went down to the car first, and things like my displays were left. It wasn't the most comfortable thing because I was there working the booth solo this weekend. Nothing was stolen, so that's good. I was moving things while my neighbors were still there, so there were other vendors around, which was good. I packaged it all, like I laid it all so that it looked very much like this is somebody's stuff and they're in the middle of breaking it down and putting it away. I left my tent up for last, also to sort of like identify this spot as like, this is somebody's stuff. This wasn't just left here. So that all worked out, but it did take a long time. It took like a full hour to break down because I think I was the only vendor who made use of their cart, at least the only one on my end of the setup that made use of the cart and brought the stuff down. I did it in 3 trips, which was impressive because it's a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff. I showed my booth earlier in this video, so it's a lot of stuff. 3 trips though. So I felt good about that. But then, of course, the priority of what you want to get to the car first and what you want to pack on the bottom of the car for transport is the opposite. So I had to bring everything to the car, put it in the car, lock the car, go get more stuff, reorganize that stuff based on what now is at the car, relock the car, go get the last stuff, reorganize everything again so that everything is packed in the way that it's safe for transport, finally get in the car and go. 2 ladies very kindly offered to help me not break down, but help me get my stuff to my car. One lady like hung out in the parking lot and was like watching me. She's like, it's starting to get dark. Are you okay? Do you need assistance? And I was like, I'm okay. I appreciate it, but I'm seriously 5 minutes away from leaving. I will be gone in 5 minutes. This is all about to be packed up. And she's like, okay, I just want to make sure you're okay. So that was really sweet. But I also was like, what happens after dark in Pittsburgh? There was a transit station stop like right there. So maybe that was why, because like people could be arriving from the transit stop, but I never saw it in use all day. So I don't know. Different area, not familiar. It was very sweet of her to like make sure I was okay. I mean, I guess she just saw like a person alone with a bunch of stuff trying to pack her car. Like it looked like a lot, I'm sure. So I appreciated that. So that was the only part that was sort of a cluster, was the pack out. Other than that, the day went great. My only feedback probably for that organizer would be to maybe explain to vendors that you should break down fully first. The more seasoned vendors kind of know that because we have been to other events where people get snippy if you break down first. But also, like, if you think about it, like, you don't think about it if it's your first time. I know, because I was there where I broke down most of the way and then brought my car up. And then the vendor next to me got like really annoyed about that, and I kind of learned like, oh yeah, that does make sense, like you're blocking the way. So I've learned. You do learn sometimes the hard way, like me, but it also helps when organizers set that expectation when they come around and explain the breakdown process of like, you should fully break down first and then you're allowed to bring your car up and you can load up your car, so that way we're not blocking. It's very tight in here. That way everybody can get packed out quickly and go home. So that would probably be my only feedback there, is like, maybe explain the process for those that are not as familiar. There were lots of vendors there. I didn't get to walk around because, like I said, I was all by myself at this market. My family had so many events going on the same day. It was a busy weekend. So I was at the market. They were off doing the other things. Yeah, but it was a good day. I wish there were more sales. I've been hearing from other vendors that that is the general feeling overall. I know that other markets have been doing better. I keep saying in my videos, I would love to be one of those that gets in for one of those markets. Like I would love one of my markets to be that market for the weekend. It still hasn't happened yet. I have 3 more left on the books for this year, 2 public, one that's a private market for a business. So I have more opportunities this year. I'm not worrying about it, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I would like to have like one to close out 2025 would be really awesome. But that's a wish. So I can't help it if people aren't shopping. I can help what I offer in my booth and take feedback and adjust inventory based on trends that I'm seeing. The funny thing is though, is that I'm not seeing any particular trends toward that would help dictate like, oh, this is the way I should be focusing. Things are kind of all over the place. So let's get into it, what people buy. So like I said, 245.13 in total sales, 16 transactions. I think there were 19 items sold. So $180.13 was on the card, $65 in cash. I paid $6.17 in square fees, and I pay $11.13 in taxes. That comes down to my net total of $238.96 once I get all that done. Booth fee was $25. It was a deposit. If you show up, you get your deposit back. So that's good. Everything earned is kept. Items that sold. I still can't figure out how to do the thing where I say what sells at what time. I don't know how other makers do that. If anybody knows and wants to tell me, please let me know how to see the breakdown by hour or minute or time or whatever on the sales. I can't figure it out. I do see a visual timeline when I look at my report, but it's just like a general, so who knows? Anyway, things that sold. I sold 1 chicken keychain. That was the chicken keychain that I had made last week. Pattern from DIY Fluffies. Great pattern, free pattern. I had made 2 different chicken keychains. One was that pattern and one was a chubby chicken free Instagram pattern. I forget the maker. And I put both out. I made them in exactly the same colors so I could see which one sells. The DIY Fluffies is a little more work, but it sold. So it's also, I think, a lot. I don't want to say it's cuter. They're different styles, but it's more of a realistic chicken. Whereas the chubby chicken one, adorable pattern, is exactly what it sounds like. It's a chubby chicken. So super cute, little more of the cartoon whimsy style, whereas the DIY Fluffies is a little bit more of a realistic style. So that's the one that sold. I finally sold a dragon and an egg, a dragon hatchling. Yay! I'm so happy. That's the Green Frog Crochet hatching animals. I bought so many of them. I bought the fantasy series, which is what the dragon and the egg came from. I think I bought like a safari series or wildlife series. I don't know. It's not safari. I think it's wildlife. It has like foxes and squirrels and capybaras. It's a mix, and koalas. That's why I thought safari. None of those are seen on a safari, but whatever. So, and then I also got the ice cream cows. So those were all by the same designer, Green Frog Crochet. And I finally sold my first dragon hatchling. I was so excited because they're so cute. They get a lot of play at the markets. And I think they're priced right. I priced them at $15. I have a mini one here. This was made with chenille. This is mini. I would not sell this for $15, but I have the ones that I have for sale are made in Bernat. So they're a good size. They're a really good size, and it's interactive and it's cute. So very happy. I feel like that is, I hope that is the break in the whatever to let those now be sold because they're so cute and I want to make more of them. I sold one rib knit beanie for $20. This is the Hipstamatic pattern on Ravelry. I will link everything down below because as usual, I didn't write down all of the designer names. But it's the Hipstamatic beanie. I have referenced it before in other videos. It's a free pattern, very basic rib knit beanie. I had two that I brought with me. One sold. She asked, the woman who bought it did ask if I had it in other colors, and I didn't. I was like, I have the orange and the yellow today. That's all I have made. I will be making more, but I just don't have them made yet. So I might make some more for this weekend, although it's so funny because today we're getting a cold front. It's going to be like 29 degrees tonight, but Sunday when my market is, it's going to be back up to 73. This does this every time in this season. Like it did this last year when I had hats and mitts to sell. It would be so cold leading up to the market, and then market day would be beautiful. I can't complain because these are outdoor markets. I just hope people realize winter is coming, and that their heads are going to be cold. Plus hats make great gifts. So that was that. But I'll make more of those. And that seems to, I think, be the price point that people are looking for. I have several hat styles that I put out, and I have the rib knit beanies are the least expensive because they're, I mean, it's just a basic rib knit. You just go straight up until you get to the top of the head, and then you decrease and you finish off and you're done. That's it. That's the whole pattern. So that one's the easiest. That's $20. I then have a cable knit beanie that is $35. I have another color work beanie pattern that I put out this year. That's I think $45. That one's more expensive, but it is quite a bit. I mean, it's a decent amount of more work and it takes more time because you color work. Yeah. And I think it's like two different styles of ribs as well. There's like a horizontal rib and a vertical rib and color work. And I love this pattern, but it is significantly more work. And then I have my crochet beanies that I think are also $35. They use the Sunburst, this style granny square, and they're constructed into a beanie. So I think all that to say, and then I have ear warmers as well, which I have fleece that I bought last year. I need to make ear warmers and fleece because, and even hats. Maybe I'll make some hats and ear warmers and fleece this week once I get through the other things on my list, because there's a list. There's always a list. So all that to say, I think the $20 price point is the price point that we need to hone in on for hats, because the 35, the 45, they get attention, they get looks, but they don't get sales. Granted, I sold one beanie yesterday, so I can't really like call that a trend, but I think I sold one beanie the weekend before and it was the same style of beanie. So having more options of that style and then still having the other ones that I have available, I think would be the way to go. Lean in most heavily to that price point, because in general, that is what it seems like. People are not spending. I get it. The economy is what it is. So, instead of lowering the price of the items that do take the work, I think having the show-stopping items draw people in, and then having the more affordable price point items available if they get in and they decide that that's what they're comfortable spending. I think that's the smartest way to go. I sold my sunflower garden coasters. I had 2 sets that I had made over the summer. One had sold at a market earlier in the year, and then I've been bringing this one, and this one sold for $22. I think she said it was going to be a birthday gift for somebody who also loves sunflowers, so that was great. I sold a mini axolotl plush for $8. I sold a chunky mushroom plush for $12. I sold a flower pocket dragon for $12. Oh, the pocket dragons. I have the flower version, I have the plain version, small, and then I have the snuggler version. And the snuggler version, oh, so many people came and played with the snuggler version, and not a single one sold. It was so frustrating. They were like, this is so cute. It's a lovey, it's a blanket style. It's adorable. And like I would see them playing with it. And I'm like, also, if you stick your hand, you can stick your hand into the head and it's a puppet. And they're like, oh my God. Nobody bought one though. Frustrating. I do sell the snugglers for $22. They're big. It's a whole lovey, like a baby could like wear it as a blanket almost. It's big. So, I mean, I do have the smaller ones. The flower ones I sell for $12. The regular pocket dragons I sell for $8 at the small size, and those just slide on your ring finger. The flower one sold to a girl whose mom said that she had it on her list to make, and she had already gotten a 3D printed dragon that sat on her shoulder, but her mom got her the flower dragon, so that was nice. My Hogwarts mystery boxes, I sold 3. I brought 20. Is that how many I made? 20? I think that's right. I think I made 20. Sold 3. That's good. They were getting more attention. I thought I would sell more of those at this market since there were a fair amount of kids walking around, but you know what? 3, I'll take it. I'm happy, so that's good. I won't be making more before the next market, because the next market this weekend, I will be switching out the mystery boxes and going back to the axolotl mochis. Still haven't decided if I'm going to keep them in mystery boxes or if I'm just going to display them. What I might do is open up one of each and display them with the mystery boxes. People could buy the ones that are display, or they could take a chance on the mystery box. I might do that. I think I will do that actually, because the picture doesn't quite do them justice. I don't think the Hogwarts ones, it works really well. For the mystery boxes, there's a crest on the front with the 4 mascots placed in, pictures of the actual makes, not like illustrated ones. So I think that works really well because it communicates very quickly what it is. It's so easy to see. The Mochi mystery box does also communicate what it is. People get it, but you're missing the details that go into it on the picture, like the hats, the different color schemes. I mean, you see the color schemes, but you don't really see how detailed they are from the small picture stickers that I place on the boxes. So that is that. I think I will do that. I sold a sea turtle plush, regular sea turtle. That was $24. Did I mention I sold a regular? No, I didn't. I skipped ahead. Okay. So that was the Hogwarts mystery boxes. I sold 2 mushroom pop keychains for $6 each. This was to, oh my gosh, this girl. She was so sweet. She came in 3 times. She bought something. all 3 times. She bought the mini axolotl. She bought a mushroom pop for her mom, keychain for her mom, and then she came back and bought a mushroom pop keychain for herself. And she was looking at the last time she was looking at the mushroom pop keychains, and she's like, I want the pink one. I was like, great. And then she was looking at the 2 that I had left, and she was like, these 2 have mouths and this one doesn't. And I said, do you want a mouth? I can put a mouth on it right now. And she said, yes, please. So I did. I was making a octo at the time, so I set the octo aside. I put the mouth on real quick for her. She tipped me, and I was like, you don't have to pay extra for that. And she's like, no, I want to. So she gave me $1, and it was so sweet. And I felt bad taking it, but at the same time, when she was like, I want to, I was like, well, I don't want to take that away from you because, you know, you're adorable and you've come in here 3 times for things. Her mom later came back in. I had noticed, I don't know what they were selling, and I really, like, if I was going to go to any booth, it would have been theirs, because I saw theirs. They were down on the very end by where my car was parked, and she had the Natural Life flower patterned pop-up tent, and I was like, oh my god, I love your tent. I love Natural Life. I have a set of overalls from them. I was wearing different overalls at this market because I was expecting it to be cool. It was hot. I was sweating, so I was wearing like actual denim overalls and a tank top, thank God, but actual denim overalls at this market. But I usually wear the Natural Life overalls to the like warm weather markets because it's just like lightweight, flowy cotton. But I wasn't wearing them this time. Anyway, loved it. I recognized their tent immediately. So that was good. But she was sweet. The little girl was sweet. I sold a regular mini pocket dragon for $8. Now we'll get to the sea turtle plush. One large sea turtle plush for $24. That's the Passionate Crafter pattern. This one was kind of I did get home and brag about it to my oldest because she had told me the colors I made the sea turtle did not go together. They were like electric tangerine orange and sage green. So the shell was electric tangerine orange and the body and the head, or the flippers in the head, were sage green. And she had been picking on me. These colors don't go together. That was not a very flattering impression, but she knows I'm kidding. She's like, these colors don't go together. And I'm like, sure they do. I think they go together. It's the same colors that I had used to make a pumpkin. So the turtle and the pumpkin were the exact same colors. The person came in, and the 2 things that she pulled out, she didn't buy the pumpkin, but she was like, she pointed out the turtle and a pumpkin. And I was like, see, somebody likes this color combination. So I was happy to see that one sell. I sold a shark plush for $15. I had been hoping, so this was the market I wanted to test the theory on sharks. And I kind of did, but not in the way I wanted. So I had made a whale shark. Instagram, free pattern. First time I made the whale shark plush. I usually have a great white shark, which is the Yarning Portals Shark 2.0 pattern. I didn't have a chance to make the great white shark this time, so I only had the whale shark. Still sold. So it still remains, anytime I have sharks at the booth, the sharks sell. And I'm now learning it doesn't matter what breed of shark between those 2, whale and great white. So I'm making sharks this week. I also finally sold my snail plush. If I have a picture, I'm sure I have a picture of this guy. So cute. I had made it back in the spring. I had been bringing it to market after market after market. It gets a lot of attention. It's the Snailed It pattern on Instagram. I really wish I wrote down the designers' names once again, but Snailed It, free pattern on Instagram. So cute. It's the snail, optional ruffles. This was the ruffled one. So this was my pink snail. And then the shell goes on like a backpack. So you can take the shell off and put it back on. And somebody bought it. I had 2. I had a blue one and a pink one. and the pink one sold. The blue one has the same issue with the body that I have with my sushi rolls. In that the sushi rolls, or not, the body is Premier Just Chenille. The shell is Bernat. It's a little bit of a mismatch. I think if I make a new body for this one, it would be fine. So I might do that. But I sold a snail for $24. I was thrilled. I sold a standing kitty plush for $10. I sold a stingray plush for $12. And that's it. So 18 items sold, total of $234 in inventory. And as you can see, not like a clear trend of what I can point to of like, I really need to do this, other than kitties. Oh, the standing kitty plush that sold was one of the mini keychains that I had made. That's right. So I started making another one of those at the market. I do need to make sharks. Sharks continue to be, if I have one or two, I'll always sell out of sharks. So I really should have sharks. And $15, that seems to be, that shark size seems to be the premier size for plushies. No Koroks. I frantically made Koroks last week, but I also knew, because this is a trend. If I make something that I haven't made in a while and I bring it to a market expecting it to do well, it won't sell at that market, but historically it will sell at the next one. So this weekend may be Korok weekend. Who knows? I made 2 octos while I was at the market. I took pictures. Those are also from Passionate Crafter. I hadn't made octos in a while, and I finally sold my last one the weekend before. So I was like, you know what? I should make some octos again. And the pattern is like, you glance at it once and I can remember it. So it's a great pattern to work on at a market because I don't have to be heads down looking at my phone. I also was working on making a small blue standing kitty keychain. I knew that would get attention in the kitty keychain. I think I need to do a couple more animal keychains. I currently have one kitty left, my tuxedo kitty, the gray one sold, a sea turtle, the chubby chicken, and I do have octos there, but those octos, they're not my best octos, let's say that. So I may retire them and make a couple new octos. But I've previously had stingrays, and those have sold in keychains. Probably, I don't know if I want to do an axolotl. I don't know if an axolotl would work. I could do dragons. I do have that AR Serendipity Designs. God, I hope that's the right pattern. If that's not, then I'm wrong. But I think it is. I think they're the one. I think that's the designer that has the flying dragon pattern that I have. And I make that in Bernat. If I made it in cotton or chenille, it might be small enough for a keychain. Actually, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. I've made it in chenille. It's still too big for a keychain. I have dragon patterns though. I can look for some dragon patterns and see if I could do a dragon keychain. Or I could do a sunflower. I don't know why I don't have sunflower keychains. What is wrong with me? So that was the market recap. All in all, super happy with what sold. I wish more things sold, but I'm very happy with the things that did sell because it was a good mix of things that I had expected. Sharks, sea turtles, mystery boxes, pocket dragons, chunky mushrooms. Like those are all things that, I've been expecting to sell at these markets. So that was good. And a mix of things, and a ribbed hat, and a mix of things that I've been hoping would sell, but hadn't been, like my snail, stingrays coming back. I don't think I've sold a stingray since last winter. Or I feel like I've said that recently before. So maybe they are starting to come back and it's becoming stingray season again. I don't know. So what am I working on this week? I batch made a bunch. I'll just show one, but I've batch made last night 5 creepers. This is Epic Yarns pattern for a Minecraft creeper. They look way more Minecrafty once the faces go on, so I do need to put the faces on. I've got one more. Could you focus? Stop focusing on my head. There we go. I got one more to make because my nephew wants one for Christmas this year. I gave my cousin's son one last year, and my nephew apparently has been on about it since, so he wants a Minecraft creeper, so I'll make him one. But I have 5 that are slated for market. These I sell for $15. It's a very quick, all of this is no-sew. The work really goes into making the faces because I've historically crocheted the faces. I would crochet the 2 eye pieces and then 1 mouth piece. I think I'm going to try to just straight embroider them this time because I'm working with thicker chenille yarn for the faces than I was last year. Last year I was using Bernat Baby Velvet, which is, I think, a worsted weight, and I am using Premier Just Chenille, which is a chunky weight. So I think I'm going to try my hand at embroidering the faces this time, which also would be better because the sewing of the pieces, I don't love that. It looks cute, so we'll see. I'll do a test and see. I hope it comes out cuter than it did when I was sewing, crocheting and sewing the faces embroidered. I hope it comes out cuter. If it doesn't, I'll go back to the way I was doing it before. So I've got those made. Like I said, I've got the feet made for the last one for my nephew. I just have to sew up or crochet up the body real quick, and then I can put the faces on. I also want to make snowmen. I have snow people, I guess, but I have snow people Christmas balls that I have on the tree, along with the snowflake ornaments and just regular like granny square style Christmas balls. But I think having my pops haven't been selling. I have a basket toward the checkout area of my booth that is always full of gnomes, sunflowers, and acorns. The acorns and the gnomes I think could stay, and I think especially if I did some different colors for the gnomes that are less floral and more winter, the gnomes might get a little bit more attention. And if I add some snowmen and possibly even reindeer, little, to that box, I think that might be a good way to refresh it for the season. The acorns can stay for one more market, and then I'll probably retire those as well because then we'll be into December. This weekend is my last November market. So I think that would be the end of pumpkin, end of acorn, and then we'll focus solely on wintry things for the 2 markets in December. So I want to make that. I also want to make more hats, more mitts. They're not selling super fast, but it's good to have a variety because you never know if it's just a matter of color. I did have one person come in and ask if I do ever work in merino wool. She asked what material my hats are made in, and I said they're all acrylic. And she asked if I ever work in merino wool, and I do. I do work in merino wool. I don't bring it to market because merino wool is quite a bit more expensive than acrylic to source. I work in merino wool for gifts and for myself, so I have some. I do work in it. It was what I worked in exclusively up until starting to make things for market, to be honest. But I do also know that natural fibers and allergies is a thing, so I don't bring that to markets, but I can. So she took my information. I'm hoping she'll reach out because yeah, it would be great to make her a hat in the material that she's looking for. So that's good. Other than that, the focus this week, again, not a whole lot. went out, 18 items. So, I mean, my booth is still pretty well stocked. However, I am at the point where everything I have is out, with the exception of the few things that I've pulled back because they're really out of season. My bold babies, my fruit salad pot holders. I don't know, I might bring those back actually, because they make good gifts. They do make good gifts. I might put those back out there, especially at the foodie fair again this weekend. Anything food related mites. You never know. So I might put that back out. People have asked if I do towels, and I said I do. But I've pulled them because it's very lacy, so they're very summery looking, so I haven't had them out. But I mean, all that to say, apart from those couple things, everything that I have made is going into the booth, and then when things sell, holes do start to appear. That's not necessarily a bad thing, especially as we're trying to rotate stock out, but it would be good to replace it with some things that are fresh. Like I had a sea turtle that sold. Even though sea turtles are a good seller for me, I didn't replace it with another sea turtle. I made a couple octos and I put the octos out, and it was a refresh. So that would be kind of good. I'm more hopeful for the foodie fair going into this weekend. I did get my booth assignment ahead of time. I'm loving my spot. So I was, like I said last time, I think it's sort of a T shape. It's across, the center stem is across from a kids museum, and then it splays out along the end of the park where there's a cafe and the restrooms and a playground. I was up by that area before. Fine, there's entrances on all sides. I don't think there's a bad spot. However, this time I'm right in front of the Children's Museum. So I'm really excited because I do know my booth is, I mean, my people are families, kids, people who know families and kids. So being across from the Kids Museum, knowing it gets a lot of traffic, maybe curious people will come by. Maybe they'll see a thing or two that they like. Maybe one parent will brave the germs of the Kids Museum to allow the other parent to come shop. I don't know. We'll see. I'm also across from the booth for a restaurant downtown Raleigh that is so good. So I'm so excited about that. Brewery Bavana. They're amazing. I've only been there once because getting in is dang near impossible. Their reservations are always booked. So I'm very excited. I'll be across from Brewery Bavana. Hopefully that means that even though it's busy, I can run across and grab something from them to eat, because I haven't been getting food at the past few markets. I've been good and bringing my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So very excited about that. So I'm looking forward to this market. I did say I would reserve overall judgment on the foodie fair until after this weekend. I think things are setting up to be, if it's gonna go well for me, I think this weekend would be the weekend it would go well. I don't want to jinx it by putting too much hope on it, but I do think that things are lining up that this should hopefully be a good weekend for the market. All that said, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It was very long and rambling, as usual, because I am chaos personified. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my YouTube presence a little bit. I'm hoping to post more often, especially shorts this week. I am making things, so there will be also updates on my Instagram feed, and I hope you have a great week, and we'll check in again after the market this weekend. Thanks so much. Bye.